Academic orthopedic surgeons spend thousands of hours mastering complex anatomy, refining surgical techniques, and producing detailed clinical research. Yet in modern hospital administration, that entire lifetime of expertise is frequently collapsed into a single two-digit number. That number is the H-index. It dictates who gets promoted to tenure, who secures critical grant funding, and who is selected to lead journal editorial boards. Administrators and evaluators adopted this metric because they needed a standardized tool to quickly compare academic output across massive, diverse institutions. This chart shows exactly how that number is calculated. On the x-axis, we have the number of publications, and on the y-axis, the citations per publication. If a researcher has an H-index of 20, it means 20 of their papers have received at least 20 citations each. By requiring both volume and traction, the calculation rewards sustained scholarly influence rather than a massive output of unread papers. But a recent editorial from the Journal of Orthopedic Case Reports challenges the uncritical worship of this specific score. The authors detail a serious mathematical blind spot. The H-index harbors hidden structural biases that actively penalize foundational types of clinical research. The primary victims of this calculation are clinical case reports. They are essential for day-to-day medical education, but their formatting structurally limits their citation velocity. Relying exclusively on this single metric creates a distorted reality. A surgeon's quantitative score can actively misrepresent their actual clinical and educational value to the orthopedic field. Hospital committees prefer the H-index because it is robust against outliers. A single highly cited paper will not skew the results, and an evaluator requires absolutely zero bibliometric training to read it. That administrative convenience clashes directly with the qualitative reality of daily orthopedic practice and education. Case reports exist to document unusual surgical complications, highlight rare conditions, and generate new hypotheses from the ground up. This focus on specific, actionable education creates immediate awareness. Surgeons read these reports and apply the findings in the operating room the very next day, an action that databases do not track. On the left, a systematic review rapidly branches out into database citations. On the right, the case report extends direct lines to human practitioners. That smaller footprint reflects targeted clinical utility, not a lack of rigor. Instead of a massive initial spike, high-quality case reports build their citations slowly, in small increments over a long period. These individual, slow-building reports serve as the necessary raw data that those larger, highly cited clinical trials eventually synthesize and rely upon. For early career surgeons, publishing these reports is frequently their critical first step into academic writing. This dynamic is especially vital for fostering scientific engagement in geographic regions that lack large-scale research infrastructure. Because the H-index fails to capture this immediate practical application, it inherently undervalues the bedrock of clinical learning. The mathematical bias extends beyond the format of the paper. It actively penalizes specific subspecialties through a flaw called field dependency. The sheer volume of publications and standard citation practices vary wildly depending on the specific surgical focus. Look at this chart comparing citation velocities. The towering bar is spine surgery, driven by a huge pool of researchers cross-citing each other. Meanwhile, global experts in oncology face an artificially capped potential simply because there are fewer surgeons. Consequently, taking the H-index of a spine surgeon and comparing it directly to a pediatric orthopedic surgeon is methodologically invalid. The metric contains a second major structural flaw, career stage bias. The H-index is a strictly cumulative, non-decreasing metric. It can only ever go up, and it never goes down. This absolute mathematical rule guarantees that senior clinicians will almost always score higher, simply by virtue of the decades they have spent in the field. That baked-in time advantage actively disadvantages early career clinicians, regardless of how innovative or impactful their recent work actually is. The calculation lacks any sensitivity to recent performance, effectively masking emerging surgical excellence behind the historical bulk of older practitioners. In isolation, the H-index reflects a surgeon's age and the baseline popularity of their subspecialty, rather than their actual current scientific brilliance. A third technical flaw further compromises the calculation: database variability. An author lacks one universal H-index. The final score changes radically depending on the search engine used, Web of Science, Scopus, or Google Scholar. Because each uses different rules, failing to specify the source makes comparison impossible. This intense focus on optimizing a flawed metric trickles down, heavily influencing journal ecosystems and peer review processes. Under pressure to increase their own indexing visibility, editorial boards face a constant temptation to engage in citation chasing. This practice manifests when a journal prioritizes publishing broad review articles over necessary detailed case reports, purely because those reviews generate more metric points for the publication. This drive to optimize the H-index leads directly to ethical dangers, including coercive citations during peer review and excessive self-citation by authors desperate to boost their numbers. When authors and journals prioritize metric optimization over clinical relevance, the foundational trust required for scientific publishing begins to erode. The solution is not to abolish the H-index entirely. Instead, evaluators must relegate it to its proper role as a purely descriptive tool, rather than a definitive judge of quality. Recognizing these flaws, global initiatives like the San Francisco Declaration on Research Assessment and the Leiden Manifesto have established concrete guidelines to combat metric abuse. The core mandate of these global standards is explicit. Do not use journal or author-level metrics as a substitute for rigorous, qualitative human review. Restoring the balance requires a different weighting system. Evaluators must measure quantitative outputs against actual scientific content, peer review, and clinical relevance. If metrics act as the sole deciding factor, the system violently tips, warping the evaluation of surgical skill. The first clinical takeaway is that context is mandatory. Reviewers must normalize their expectations based on the specific orthopedic subspecialty and the individual surgeon's career stage. Second, the format value must be recognized. Journals like JOCR must continue to champion case reports for their foundational educational utility, regardless of their naturally low citation velocity. Third, ethical evaluation must remain the priority. True academic strategy should be driven by identifying and fulfilling genuine clinical needs, not by the gamification of citation metrics. Senior clinicians, journal editors, and hospital administrators must all actively resist the administrative urge to oversimplify academic evaluation. A surgeon's ultimate academic impact is not measured by the accumulation of a two-digit number. It is measured by their tangible contribution to the advancement of clinical knowledge and patient care.